Hey everyone, this is the Data Rules podcast where we chat with experts in the reporting automation industry and just nerd out and talk about marketing data. I'm your host, Victor Dwyer, and our guest today is Graham Coyle, founder of Seller Presto. Graham has an extensive experience on selling on Amazon, as well as two successful Amazon brands. His company, Seller Presto, helps brands unlock their Amazon potential, and they are best at what they do. Before we dive into how we sell on Amazon and achieve the success there, Graham, please tell us a little intro about yourself and what you're currently working on.
Yeah, so I've been in the Amazon game now since I think it's going back to 2014. I think it is. I was a market researcher. That was my background, and I got this job at this company, and as a market researcher. Didn't realize when I joined them that they were literally one of the biggest sellers on Amazon in the UK in the home and kitchen category. These guys were literally doing like 20 million a year through Amazon UK. This is back in 2014. And it was all kind of the old kind of shipping from China, just pure private label, not really any customization, just basically going to China, picking products off the shelf, putting a brand name on there. And they were one of the first companies to really do that well in the UK. So I went there initially, like I said, as a market researcher and started learning about all this Amazon stuff. And this is 2014 is around about the time when Amazon were launching the advertising platform. So because we were like an 8-figure seller on Amazon. Yeah. So we got beta on all the beta programs. So we got access to Amazon advertising before anyone else. And FBA just kind of started in the UK around about that time as well. So it was in 2014, 15, it was like a really exciting time to be on Amazon. It was all kind of really growing.
It was the Wild West.
It totally was. Yeah, it was the stuff you could do back then to rank a product, and that's what we were doing. We were using programs like AMZ Tracker. I don't know if you remember that one, where you could actually like send out 100 coupons to customers and give them a super URL, and a week later you'd have 100 reviews, you'd be top of the page, and it was so easy. It was so easy. Every product we launched about 20, 30 products in 1 year, and we were top of the rankings for all of them just because we knew what tools to use. And of course it's totally different now, changed it all a few years after that. And yeah, it was. I saw that as a massive opportunity. Having worked there I worked there for about 3 years, and I had the opportunity to actually get some investment to start my own Amazon business, and went into that kind of thinking I was going to be using the same strategy with the reviews and the coupons and all that. And Amazon basically closed all that down, so we had to realign our strategy, focusing on kind of on-page optimization and Amazon's own advertising program to actually build ranking. And so we went from basically getting to the top page within a few weeks to taking a few months. But yeah, and I've been selling on Amazon now myself for probably since 2017. That's when I first started doing it. It was 2017, so I've been doing that quite a few years now. But I could see going back to this is probably 2016. That's where I first started to think that there was an opportunity to offer services to retailers to actually help retailers to sell on Amazon, because at the time there wasn't all that many Amazon agencies around. I think when I googled it back in those days, there was like bobsled marketing. They were the only ones, and I can remember kind of I started to create a website for like an Amazon agency way back then, and then kind of had the opportunity to do it myself with the private label FBA. So that kind of went on the back burner. But I started to think about it again in 2019. I was going to networking events, and people were asking, what I did, and I said I sell on Amazon. And the amount of people who would say to me, we've tried to sell on Amazon, but it's just too complicated. But we know we need to be on there. Can you help us? And that's kind of how it all started. Really, it just kind of snowballed from there. Working with a couple of clients locally in the area. And yeah, just grew from that point onwards to where we are now, where we're servicing around about 50 clients at the moment.
That's amazing. And I feel like a lot of agencies got started that way. They're saying like, hey, it's so complicated, because Amazon is a beast. Like by itself, like there's so much to learn. It's so difficult to sell. There's so many different things you have to keep track of. And it just really, there's a huge opportunity for agencies to come in and like really help service Amazon. And that just led to a huge, like probably explosion in all these like millions of other agencies now that are on Amazon currently.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. yeah. And of course, the challenge for me was I'd never worked for an agency. I'd never worked for a lot of people. We are in this area in the northeast of England. There's a lot of digital agencies who do things like Google advertising and SEO, and quite a lot of people join those agencies for a few years and then they set up their own agency. I had literally no agency experience whatsoever, so I've had to bring people into the company who've got agency experience. I've got a non-exec director who ran like a 7-figure agency, which was not anything to Amazon, but it was Google SEO, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was a challenge. Certainly that I had no experience of agency myself, just experiencing Amazon.
Yeah, that's amazing. And let's really start out by saying the difference between organic and Amazon advertising. So as we know, Amazon has been really decreasing the amount of organic searches there are, especially in the last 7 years, where it used to be almost practically all organic with a few sponsored placements. And now some pages, some categories have 60% are now sponsored, 70% are now sponsored. So can you go into the differences between organic and paid advertising on Amazon?
Yeah, you're right. Like I said, when I first started at that company back in 2014, we weren't running advertising. There was no such thing as Amazon advertising. And when the beta version was basically auto campaigns, and that was it. You couldn't pick keywords. You couldn't even add negative keywords. It was totally basic. But we're at the point now where you've Amazon sponsored products, sponsored brands, you've got sponsored display. It's constantly growing. And as you say, when you look at search result pages now on Amazon, there's just so many adverts. You've got adverts at the top on a banner, you've got a row of adverts underneath that, adverts down the side. You click on a listing, you've got adverts going across the bottom as well. So yeah, it has really become a pay-to-play marketplace. I mean, we already get charged 15% anyway, and then the FBA fees, and then you've got this advertising fee as well.
Yeah.
So it is expensive, and everyone who, I'd say 99% of our clients have Amazon advertising running on their accounts. The only ones who are not permitted to advertise the products because they're in a certain category. And organic is just, to get listings and products visible organically, it's all about building up sales and building up a good conversion rate. It has definitely become harder, and you have to do the advertising now. I would say you have to do advertising to build up organic ranking. You can't, unless you're in a category that has very few competitors. If you want a good organic placement on Amazon, you're going to have to run ads to build up some visibility, get some sales, build some sales history, get a good conversion rate, and then actually pay organically. Ideally, you want both. You want a good organic placement and advertising. And then you can experiment with reducing advertising bids, reducing advertising budgets to try and grow the product and make it more profitable. But yeah, it is heavily advertised orientated now. It really is. Yeah,
it really is a requirement in 2023 to advertising. It's so competitive now that you kind of need to do it. It's really difficult to launch now, in any other strategy, if you're not advertising. What are your thoughts on that?
It is, yeah, because like I said, we used to use things like AMZ Tracker, which was offering discounts for coupons and getting people to use a super URL so that the sales were all going through a certain keyword. But yeah, it is really difficult unless you are a really well-known brand or you have a really large engaged audience off Amazon who are prepared to actually search for your brand and actually really look for your products. If you're an unknown brand, it's going to be really, really difficult to get any kind of visibility on Amazon. The only way you can really do it without advertising is by launching with a very high discount on your coupon, on a coupon or a voucher discount, and then having those vouchers going through your other channels, maybe through Facebook or through an email. If it's purely on Amazon, you're going to really struggle to get any kind of visibility, any kind of traction. Like I say, unless you are a really well-known brand or a brand who has a very engaged audience.
Yeah, let's go into how would you launch an Amazon product in 2023? What are some strategies you would do that kind of make that product successful?
What we're trying to do now is basically any agency can create a listing and pretty graphics and make it look good. And we realize that anyone can do that now. But what we're trying to think about now, and we're working with a new client and we're looking at the products that they sell, is trying to identify who the target audience is and what are they receptive to. What kind of language are they receptive to? What kind of colors even? And trying to build that initially into a profile of, all the content has to work around who the customer is, what they're looking for, and why they're going to be purchasing this product. So once we've kind of identified that kind of target audience and the profile of the customer, then it's all about listing optimization. So it's researching the keywords that people are searching for in relation to that product, writing copy that is very benefit driven rather than feature driven. So why would someone buy this product? How is that product going to make someone's life better rather than, this product's got this feature, that feature? No one cares about that. It's what it's going to do for you. Then great imagery. So we need good infographics. And I think building out those A+ content pages, which are the pages where it's a graphical product description where you can utilize infographics to show what the product does, really trying to kind of build up that brand presence on Amazon, because it's so cluttered with loads of different brands, private label brands coming direct from China, that you really have to stand out. And a good way to do that is by building up your brand presence and actually trying to have that consistency across products where people who are interested in your category, if they're clicking on different products, keep seeing your brand and actually you're telling your brand story, utilizing the brand story pages as to why you are the best seller of this product, how long you've been in business for, what your kind of history is in relation to this category of products. So it's all about kind of initially building up that page. Video content as well is becoming more important. And it's only then when we're really happy with the page is going to convert, if the right customer comes on and clicks on it. It's at that stage then we run the advertising, but we'd always try and launch at the point where we launch with advertising, and we launch when the stock arrives at the Amazon warehouse, because we still see that effect where they call it like the honeymoon period, where a product goes live on Amazon, it's available to purchase, and you have a few weeks where Amazon push the listing, give you a little bit of organic visibility because they know it's a new listing. Yeah. And if you combine that with paid advertising, it does have a powerful effect in those first few weeks, and in just trying to build up reviews and build up some organic history.
I want to get your perspective. We call that the honeymoon period. Yeah. How long is the honeymoon period to launch a product on Amazon? I want to get
I would say, it lasts, I'd say from what we've seen, I'd say it lasts between like 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then unless you're then generating sales and you're getting a good conversion rate, then that initial boost that it gives you seems to start falling away.
Is it when, as soon as you have products, then the honeymoon period starts? Or is it when you create the listing? Like, when does that honeymoon period usually start?
It's when the listing goes live. So it's as soon as stock is against the product. So whether that's the stock's arrived at the Amazon warehouse, then it goes live. Or if you then push inventory from a stock system, then it's going to go live. So yeah, we always advise clients, make sure we've got everything set up first before you send a shipment into Amazon, because once that shipment lands at Amazon, there's nothing stopping that listing going live.
Yeah.
If listing's not ready, then we're in trouble. It's a rush to get it all done.
Yeah. And how would you optimize the listings? Like, you talked about a lot about listing optimization. Is there any other steps you would take to optimize the Amazon listing for success?
So what we try to do with the images is we try and optimize those as best we can in terms of sizes so that they're zoomable. We like the images to tell a story as well. So you've got text on the images, basically that's telling the story, what the product does, what kind of features it has, what kind of benefits it has. We'll also, in terms of the actual listing, we'll try and complete as many fields as possible. So, the size, material, because all those things might be searchable on the left-hand pane on the Amazon search results. And if someone who's looking for example, a 28 centimeter silver pan, that's only going to show if they tick the buttons on the side, if you've completed those fields within the listing. And then of course there's the search terms as well, which a lot of people, in my opinion, get wrong. There seems to be quite a few different trains of thought as to how you do those, but we've always done it a certain way where it's the back-end search terms are only keywords which are relevant, they're not anywhere else in the listing. And I know that's how Helium 10, the software company, big Amazon software company, that's the way they kind of lean towards doing it as well. So I think we're doing it right, but some people may disagree with that.
And let's talk about the importance of brand registry, which kind of ties into the optimization of the listings. What is the importance of brand registry, and why do you need it on Amazon?
Well, yeah, I think the main thing really is the brand registry, one of the first things you need to think about is if you haven't got your listings brand registered, then they're at risk of being hijacked, basically. If it's a generic brand, pretty much anyone can go onto that listing and change it. So if you've got a product and it's, you launch a product that starts selling 100 units a week and you're not brand registered, someone else can just take that listing from you. So first of all, you want it for security, really. But secondly, and again, this all kind of relates to marketing, is that brand registry just gives you a lot more marketing tools. And as I've said, there's a lot of retailers on Amazon now who sell, just completely random products. You find sellers on there who, they might be doing 7 figures a year, but they're just selling a range of products across different categories. They're just trying to sell anything that makes money, which is fine. That works for them. But from a customer point of view, I feel that customers would prefer to buy products from a company that specializes in that particular niche. So if you sell cookware products, then I would personally prefer to buy from a retailer who specializes in cookware products rather than someone who sells a massive wide range of products. And that's where the brand registry gives you that opportunity to actually talk about your brand and talk about why you specialize in this niche, why what you do differently, how long you've been in that particular niche, and all that gives the customer confidence that that they're going to get a good quality product from you, and it's a product that there's probably had a lot of thought going into it because you're a specialist in that product category.
Yeah, and let's go to the advertising for a second for Amazon ads. How do you avoid wasted ad spend to make sure you're not overspending, like spending too much? Like, how do you prevent that to really have more success on the Amazon ad standpoint?
Yeah, so we usually work to a budget to begin with. So we set like a daily or monthly budget to make sure that we're not going over the client's advertising budget for that particular month. But then in terms of stopping wasted ad spend, so we do the usual stuff like checking that we're not, if we've got a broad campaign or a phrase campaign, negating any keywords that are just completely irrelevant that Amazon's decided to target. But then we set thresholds as well. So, and this is all kind of based on price of the product and the conversion rate of the listings. So if, for example, a keyword gets 30 clicks and it hasn't had a sale, then we'll probably negate that keyword. It's probably not going to convert. But again, that kind of depends on the product. If it's a high ticket item, then we might give it 50 or 60, 70 clicks even before we decide to take the action. But then in terms of optimizing bids to make sure you're getting the most bang for buck, what we do is we set a target ACOS or return on ad spend at a product level, which then aligns with the customer's profit margins. And then every single bid adjustment action that we take is aligned towards basically hitting that target ACOS.
Great. That's really interesting. And let's take a deep dive into data. And let's start with the Amazon advertising. How do you create your dashboards to analyze your data, your Amazon advertising data, on a weekly or monthly cadence to say, what are some KPIs that you look at saying, hey, this is working. Hey, there's some wasted ad spend. I'd love to hear more about your data when it comes to KPIs and how you're tracking that in Amazon.
Yeah, so we're using Power My Analytics to link to Google Data Studio, or I've changed the name now. Is it Google
Looker Studio? But yeah,
Studio,
close enough.
yeah. So we do that bit. The main reason we do that is just that Amazon's reporting just absolutely sucks. It does. It's especially if you want to see the big picture. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can get the data from Amazon, but you're going to have to look at within 10 different places to get it. You're going to have to download 10 different reports. And unless you're a whiz with Excel and pivot tables, it's going to be a complete nightmare. So we use Power My Analytics to basically as a tool to pull the data from Amazon into a dashboard and into Google Looker Studio. So for advertising, the KPIs, the main one we're looking at is ACOS. That's the main one, and the second one would be revenue. So are we achieving continuous growth through advertising sales, but are we also doing that at a level that's profitable and aligns with the client's profit margins.
That's great. And going on to like how you create your dashboards on a holistic level, like doing more full account management, what are some KPIs? What are some data sets that you look at on a weekly and monthly basis saying that we're doing good? Like it might be inventory, it might be like advertising. Like what are you looking at normally on a weekly and monthly cadence?
Yeah, so we're looking at sales at and that's at a country level. So another a good thing that the Power My Analytics does, which Amazon doesn't do, is if we've got a client who sells across Europe, so UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, it will combine all of that revenue into one figure, and it will also do the conversion on the exchange rate. So you can just look this dashboard, and it will tell you exactly how much money you've made across Europe over any given time. And trying to do that through Amazon would take you 20-30 minutes to download each account and
Yeah.
pull off the figure and then do the conversion on the exchange rate. So it's really good for that, for our kind of main KPI being total revenue. But yeah, again, it can then break that down across the different countries, conversion rates. It pulls all that data across so we can see how well a listing's converting. Is the conversion rate increasing on a monthly basis, which tells us that we're doing the right thing in terms of listing optimization. And as you touch on there as well, yeah, it also has the stock as well, so we can see which listings are running low on stock, and we can pull what we can do is we set a threshold. So if a client needs 4 weeks to replenish a certain SKU, the report in Google Looker Studio will highlight all the SKUs which have fallen below that threshold that need replenishing. So the client knows, yeah, we need to put these items back into stock. Otherwise, we're going to go out of stock and no one wants that to happen because, yeah, Amazon don't like that and you'll lose money.
Yeah, exactly. And let's talk about the aggregation between account level, like looking at Amazon on account level, and then looking at it on a product level. What are some KPIs that you look on a holistic level? And what are some KPIs that you look at on a product level? How do you change those up?
Yeah, so the account level, yeah, it's revenue. That's what pretty much every client wants to know on a monthly basis. How much money have we made in total? And quite often, if that's increasing, then that's half the battle over. On a product level, again, we're looking at revenue because you might have had a really good month and your total revenue has increased, but it could be that a certain product has actually dropped down in revenue. So that then flags that something needs to be looked at on that product.
Yeah.
So you can't just look at it on an account level and think, yeah, the account's growing, because it could be, but there might be certain products that need something doing to them to might be actually reducing in sales over that period, but it's just not noticeable on the whole level. And then also, again, on a product level, again, it's looking at things like the advertising spend and the air costs. Is that matching the client's expectations in terms of how that aligns with their profit margins and conversion rates? Again, on a product level, if something's running a 3% conversion rate for the month, then again that flags that we need to check something there, because that's not good. There's something on the page that needs identifying and improving there.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk about the importance of comparing numbers. It's so important to look at the previous date range and see how much it's changed. So
Yeah.
not only like are you looking at it on a product level, also having that comparison data is so important to see like, okay, my previous product A, used to have a 20% conversion rate. Now it's a 15. And if you were just to look at that data, you would say, oh, it's a 15% conversion rate. That's great. But if you realize it dropped by 5%, that's a pretty decent drop. So you can see like, hey, what's going on with the advertising? What's going on with maybe the title got changed, or maybe the image got changed. And there's a little bit more diagnosis to be had there. Like it's really important to compare your data sets and saying, okay, what happened in the previous range? What happened last year? And really comparing those numbers, like those percentage points, and saying, okay, how much are we increasing? How much are we decreasing? Rather than just showing the real number, because you can actually there's more action items that you can do to actually change and more to diagnose there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because what we do in the report is we tend to target the previous year, because that gives you like for like in terms of sales patterns. So, for example, April, we know April is not a great month to compare with March, because in the UK, a lot of people are on holiday during Easter for 2 weeks, and when people on holiday, they're not shopping on Amazon. So you might, on a whole, you probably see a small drop in revenue from April to March. So that's why we compare to the previous year. But then that's had its challenges as well, because during COVID 2020, 2021, a lot of sellers saw a big spike in sales during those periods, especially in categories like supplements. We work with a lot of sellers in the supplement categories, and their sales just went absolutely crazy through COVID. And the problem is that it's very difficult to get back to those levels, because the high streets were closed, the shops were closed, and people really had no choice but to purchase things online. So we have had that difficulty, and what I've said to a lot of clients is you can't really compare what happened in those 2 years, 2020, 2021. Those sales patterns were just absolutely all over the place, and they'll probably never be able to replicate that. So it has been difficult, but luckily we're in a bit of normality now. We have been able to kind of reliably compare this year's data with what's happened 12 months ago.
Yeah, and like during COVID, it's either your product did extremely well, or it did not do, like you were dying. Like there's no in between. It's either you're doing amazing or doing horrible. And like going to like pre-pandemic kind of economy, like with a little bit more recession kind of coming in, how have you been handling this kind of like recession that's coming over, with this like a little bit of decline in sales and the rising cost of inflation and things like that? How have you kind of been countering that on Amazon?
Yeah, it is difficult because, well, pretty much everyone has had an increase in the costs. So whether you have a factory in China and you're shipping it from China, the last 2 years your shipping costs have probably tripled. So a lot of people have been in the same boat, where their actually cost of the sale has dramatically increased. But then you combine that with the fact that there's a lot more sellers on Amazon now than there was pre-pandemic. A lot of sellers realized, the shops are closed, we need to be online on as many channels as possible. So it almost seemed like 2020 was the year where everyone who wasn't on Amazon then suddenly became on Amazon, and the effect of that is cost per click for ads went massively increased. So again, it's all kind of impacting that margin, and it's become more expensive, and the profit margin has probably dropped over the last couple of years because of these increases in your raw material costs, and because of the increase in shipping and increase in cost per click. So it's all, again, what we've tried to do is really focus on the stuff that we don't have to pay for, the content. So how do we improve the conversion rates? If someone lands on a page, to persuade them to click the buy button, that doesn't cost us anything. We just need to make sure that page tells the customer exactly what they need to know and convince them to make that purchase. So it's been a focus on the organic side of things, and again, trying to build up that brand on Amazon to hook people into why they should purchase from that brand, rather than another random company who's selling thousands of other products from China. And then again, just trying to work with a client to set marketing budgets and work towards target ACOSs, and just basically communicating to the clients that it's not going to be how it was in 2019 in terms of advertising and ACOS. It's gone up. It's how do we kind of tweak things and manage budgets and things to try and negate that effect of the increase in costs.
Yeah, and let's go into a little bit about pricing. So a lot of clients are, like what I've noticed, a lot of brands are really afraid to increase their pricing. And because when they increase their pricing, sales, like the demand in sales goes down, like their competition's keeping it like at a steady rate, like they're afraid to go over their competition. And there's like this huge like debate about pricing. So I'd love to get your perspective on pricing on Amazon.
Yeah, it's all about testing it, and it's about testing it over a good period of time. Because what happens too often is someone thinks, right, I'm going to increase my price. They do it for a week, the sales drop, and then they just panic and they put it back. But there's always some element of seasonality. It doesn't matter what time of the year you're in, there's always some element of seasonality. So if you make any change, any kind of A/B testing like price, you need to stick with it for a few weeks. I'd say a month. It has to be a decent amount of time to try and see what kind of difference that's made in terms of your conversion rates. But again, it's all factoring that back into kind of like what we use Power My Analytics for reporting. If we increase in the price, our sales might decrease, but what does that do to the profit margin? And that's quite often the most important element to a client. Yeah, we might increase the price, but we're now, the margins increase. We're actually making more profit than we were when we're selling more units at a cheaper price. It also means just having to reorder stock less. So, but that's getting that balance between keeping your organic ranking high as well, because if sales start to slow down, then your organic rank starts to slip. So it's a real balancing act of a lot of testing between lots of different things and really close monitoring to see what changes your price changes have on your bottom line.
Is there anything else that's been top of mind for you that you've been wanting to communicate, that you say, hey, I see a lot of Amazon sellers doing like this and it's wrong? Is there anything that's been top of mind for you that you've been seeing Amazon sellers do wrong lately?
One of the things I see quite a lot is the emojis in bullet points, and I just think I don't know why sellers do that. It's I think that they think, oh, we do that, it catches the customer's eye, but which it might do, fair enough, but it just makes it unreadable, and it's against Amazon style guides. Amazon have a very specific style guide for the way that the listings should be set up, and that's all again being done through A/B testing. And if emojis increased conversion rates, Amazon would be encouraging us to put emojis into the bullet points, and they're not. So I see that quite often. Yeah, I think that's the main one I see, and we quite often when we're onboarding a client and they might have done that, it's the first thing we say. We need to take that off. It's not increasing your sales, and it doesn't look great. So yeah.
Is there any other strategy that you think an Amazon seller should be doing in 2023?
I think again, just like I say, the paid stuff's got more expensive. The cost per click's gone up. So it's all about trying to focus on, like I say, the stuff that you're not paying for, the listing, really trying, and this isn't really an Amazon strategy, really, it's more of a marketing strategy, but really try and identify who your customer is. And that can be hard if you just sell on Amazon, because you're not going to have any customer data. But you can get lots of information just by looking at reviews, and you can read reviews and see what customers are actually commenting on when they purchase the product, and that gives you an idea of what they're looking for. And try and then tailor the content on your page to answer those questions that people are talking about in the reviews, and really try and build your brand. I mean, it's no coincidence that the biggest sellers just in retail in general have really strong brands, and they're really clearly defined goals of what they do. And if you can get that across on Amazon through imagery, through branded A+ content, through videos, then that's going to give you maybe that additional 5% on your conversion rate, and that's again, you're not paying for that, and that's going to increase your margin, increase your sales.
That's amazing. Well, that's all we have time for today. I know we can go on for this for 7 more hours, I guarantee it. Please, Graham, tell them how to find you, how to find your business, how to contact you. Please tell them all that information.
Yeah, so website is sellerpresto.com. So we work with clients in the UK, America, Australia. I'm on LinkedIn. You can hit me up on there. So Graham Coyle on LinkedIn. There's not many people who've got my name spelled how it is, GRAEME COYLE. There's only 2 people on LinkedIn. I'm the Amazon.
That's great. Well, thank you everyone for listening. This is the Data Rules podcast. Thank you everyone for watching. Thanks so much for coming on, Graham.
Thanks. Thank you.